Members of the J Area, welcome to a special Thursday night live stream where we're talking about another set of awards here for the J Area 2024 Pro Wrestling Awards. Today, of course, being that of the tag team division. Now, of course, if you've been keeping up with the videos and you've been keeping up with the channel, I haven't really been as hot on the tag team division in the year 2024. I thought there were some great hits, a lot of misses though, I'm not going to lie to you. We have a lot to talk about here. Of course, on today's live stream, it opens up the opportunity for you, the fans, the members of the J Area, to voice your opinions, throw out some nominees for the 2024 Tag Team of the Year, strictly for the WWE, that is. Of course, if you're new to the channel, we have the J Area Awards, where we're giving out awards specifically to the WWE. You know, with this channel, it is obviously pro wrestling related. We're talking everything AEW, WWE, TNA, but our audience here predominantly likes to talk about the WWE. And of course, why not? It's the hottest ticket in town. It's the number one wrestling promotion in the world, and it has been for quite some time. So for this year, we'll be discussing just the WWE. Perhaps in the further years and in the future, we'll be able to introduce other promotions, guys like AEW, TNA, New Japan perhaps, depending on, of course, the high demand of those within the J Area. But for this year, we'll be talking about the WWE and their tag team division. This is going across all brands, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. I feel like NXT certainly needs to have some love thrown in as well when it comes to these awards, just because it's been quite the hot show. Shawn Michaels as the lead booker and the showrunner definitely has demonstrated why NXT has become must-see viewing. One, because it has so much talent. It has so many names out there who are up and coming, who are still developing their skills, and getting accustomed to being on television. And certainly under the bright lights of the WWE, you need to have that level of experience. And that's why I bring up one of my first suggestions here when it comes to the nominees for the Tag Team of the Year inside the WWE 2024. We look at the NXT Tag Team Champions, a set of champions that have really ran the tag team division for the majority of the year. I'm talking about Fraxium, Nathan Frazer, and Axiom, who have been tag team champions, like I said, for the majority of the year, having great matches, great storytelling as well. This is one of those instances where the tag team division has kind of been in a lull, and we haven't seen as much action when it comes to meaningful stories. I mean, yeah, they are able to give us some solid matches, but when it comes to NXT, in terms of credible champions, credible acts, there's very few. Nathan Frazer and Axiom, who started off as opponents, started off as rivals, really. I mean, as a friendly competition dating back all the way to last year's NXT deadline. And then over time, it was a level of respect that was earned between the two that led to their partnership. Of course, the two would go on to have solid matches against guys like Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin, Chase University, OTM, and most recently they had a match up against Gallus. The two between these two, there's always been that level of doubt whether or not they're going to last as a team. I mean, there was a time being there where I thought they were going to break up during the summer, but they continue to win out. They continue to impress the NXT audience and myself included. These guys know how to go fast, know how to go hard, and certainly know how to capture the imagination when it comes to the NXT offense in front of that raucous crowd. I think definitely they have earned that right to be included on this list of Tag Team of the Year. But obviously when it comes to tag teams, you got to talk about some of the bigger names. You know, we talk about the Tag Team Champions that have won those titles throughout the duration of 2024. We first talk about the Judgment Day, who ran the WWE for quite some time, especially in 2023, where they held both championships, Raw and SmackDown. They headed into 2024 again as the undisputed champions, both holding the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles. This iteration of the team, of course, included Finn Balor and Damian Priest, who right now actually are embroiled in a feud since the breakup of that version of the Judgment Day. Do they deserve to be on this list? That is up for you to decide. So for those who are joining us in the chat, make sure you comment down below some of your recommendations, some of your ideas when it comes to who is deserving to be in the discussion of Tag Team of the Year. We talk about the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest, but then there's also the newest version that includes JD McDonough and Finn Balor, who had just recently lost their tag team titles to the War Raiders. Now, I know it's kind of a little bit of a hot take to include Balor and McDonough because I myself, I'll confess to you, I wasn't very high on their title reign. I thought it was very lackluster. Very little to no title reigns over the course of that reign itself. I thought the titles themselves did not need to be included in the Judgment Day. They were seen more as a prop, as a trophy. I mean, obviously they are some sort of award. But a storyline like the Judgment Day didn't necessarily need the titles. The WWE, as of late, has really been a fan of getting their factions and loading them up with championships. Case in point, the Judgment Day and the Bloodline. Two of the very biggest factions in recent memory. I didn't think that McDonough and Balor needed the titles. Now, did it garner them great heat? Yeah, it did, but maybe for the wrong reasons. It wasn't solid heat. It was more of that go-away heat. We didn't want the championships to be associated with the acts of Balor and McDonough, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Finn Balor. I'm a fan of McDonough, but that iteration of their title reign just wasn't it for me. But of course, they did hold the titles. They were champions for the majority of the summer leading into the fall, so should they be in consideration? I leave that up to you. I leave that up to the audience. But you look at the Raw side, and before Judgment Day had earned those titles, The Miz and R-Truth had won the World Tag Team titles, winning them at WrestleMania 40, capitalizing in that tag team ladder match that included 6 tag teams, by the way. Alex, what's going on? Welcome to the chat. Appreciate you stopping by. And he puts up a good point here, and he brings it up because it's a perfect opportunity, a perfect segue. We were talking about the Raw set of tag teams, but DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano both having probably their best year when it comes to the main roster. Obviously, their time in NXT, up for no debate. We know was probably their best work in the WWE. But Gargano and Ciampa have gone on to solidify themselves as a main player when it comes to the SmackDown tag team division. They won the tag titles. In fact, they're in their second reign as of right now. And whether you want to look at them as the heels or baby faces of this version of DIY, having solid matches against the Bloodline, against the Street Profits, against the Machine Guns, Ciampa and Gargano, again, just like Fraxium, not only were able to have solid matches, but have a storyline stretched out over the course of months. I mean, in Fraxium's point, a year. But Ciampa and Gargano having that history already developed and established in NXT. And for those like us who have watched them since NXT, we recognize the dynamic between Ciampa and Gargano. So when we saw little bits of disagreements, the tension between the two, we immediately are transported back to 2018 to 2019 when they had those great matches in NXT, really solidifying themselves as the best feud during the black and gold era. But now they're the tag team champions. That's 2 times now on the main roster. And now this time, having a little bit of an edge to them, we know they're going to be competing against the Motor City Machine Guns, I believe this week on SmackDown, tomorrow, if anything, defending those titles. Will they be a one-hit wonder when it comes to this title reign? We'll have to wait and see for Friday night. But Ciampa and Gargano, I do think warrant having an opportunity to be on this list, to be a candidate and a nominee for the Tag Team of the Year. But you also have to bring up some of the teams that they have faced in their way. The team that they had defeated for those tag team titles was they were A-Town Down Under. I was going to say Ciampa and Gargano, all this DIY talk. A-Town Down Under, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, who I think have been one of the more entertaining heel acts in WWE. Now, granted, very similar to like Fraxium, we talk about the eventual breakup of the two. But at the same time, we're talking about 2 guys that have been consistently on TV, having solid matches. Granted, they are the heel side, so they don't really get to get put over that much. But if you're entertained by Waller and Theory and you enjoyed their reign as the champions, this is your opportunity to go ahead and include them in the chat, include them in the nominees list. Remember, there's only 4 spots. There's only 4 spots. I have my ideas, but I want to hear from you guys on who you think should be in consideration for Tag Team of the Year. And we talk about the Bloodline, who had held the championships themselves. But there's different versions of the Bloodline that could be included. I mean, you look at a guy like Solo Sikoa, who teamed up with nearly everybody at one point. But the tag team champions were Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, who has taken the WWE audience by storm. But then over time, Tama Tonga ended up sliding into that position. Jacob Fatu relinquishes his half of the championship. So the Tongans were tag team champions. Do we include them there? Were they solid enough? Were they entertaining enough? And were they impressive enough to be included on this list? I leave that up to you. I think it's also important to keep in mind this shouldn't just be restricted to just the men. There is a tag team division on the women's side. Look at the tag team champions. Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, who I think have been one of the best tag team champions in the women's division since the title's inception. I mean, you have to go back to someone like the Boss and Hook connection. The last time those tag titles felt like something. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, their partnership, their mentor and protege type of dynamic really worked for me, as I hope it did for a lot of people. Their dynamic, they had improved in terms of the chemistry within the ring, having matches against the PFC, against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, Damage Control. They were truly, I think, out of the three main titles, the three main tag titles, were the best fighting champions, taking on all comers. At one point, I think they defended the titles maybe 3 times in 1 week. Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. I could be wrong, but I feel like there was a point there where we were getting consistent title defenses from the super team of Belair and Jade Cargill. Obviously, now that Jade Cargill is out, she's due to injury, that spot has to be filled. And it's looking like Naomi is going to be taking that spot. Whether that's right or wrong, that's up for you to decide. But I look at that as well. Bianca Belair has been one of the MVPs, one of the unsung heroes within the WWE, which I think warrants their inclusion on this list of tag teams. But again, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you guys think in the comments, in the chat. Who are some names, who are some teams that you enjoyed watching this year that stood out above the rest for you? NXT, Raw, SmackDown, doesn't matter. Who are some teams that for you stood out above the rest for the opportunity to win Tag Team of the Year? What about newcoming? A newer team, a fresher team like the Motor City Machine Guns. Is that your cup of tea? Is that someone that you enjoyed watching? I mean, look at the Motor City Machine Guns. Big hype. Big anticipation. 2 former TNA World Champions, X Division Champions, Tag Team Champions, of course, from TNA as well. They make a big impact, no pun intended. And in their first appearance, in their first couple appearances, they advance in a tournament to earn a championship opportunity. And then on the same night, they win the tag titles. Very impressive from the Motor City Machine Guns, who I think are one of the best tag teams in the modern era. But are they good enough? Have they had an impressive year alone to be included for WWE's Tag Team of the Year? They did only arrive, I believe, in October? Only for a few months they've been here. But hey, it's up to you guys. Mama Ramos in the chat here. She says Bianca and Jade. Again, a solid pick. Just from a presence alone. And also keeping the level of significance, the importance on a tag team championship. Because like we said, the tag team division, maybe not at its strongest, but certainly there is a saying that the championship can make the champion, or the champion can make the championship. And I feel like Jade and Bianca definitely were 2 athletes of the caliber that have elevated those tag team titles. I think when we go on into the future, we look into our crystal ball, and back when we look into the future and we realize who are some of the best champions, I feel like Bianca and Jade will be looked on fondly. And we will think, that reign was pretty solid. And even though Jade never lost the title, she definitely has earned her keep as one of the main stars in the WWE. But like I said, we're leaving it up to the people. We're leaving it up to people. 60-minute stream here. At the first half, we're going to be talking about the different title reigns, the different opportunities that tag teams have had to prove themselves to be one of the best tag teams in the WWE. In the second half, we'll open it up to the public. We'll open the polls, and it'll be your chance to vote for your favorite tag team, who you think was impressive enough to earn the distinction for the inaugural J Area Award for Tag Team of the Year in the WWE. How about another team like the War Raiders? War Raiders, again, granted, something fresh because they weren't a thing for a vast majority of the year, for like the first 10 months. They hadn't made their return till about November due to the injury that Eric had suffered. But now immediately thrusted into the main event scene when it comes to the tag team division. They are now the tag team champions once again. Is it too early? Sure. But it's something to consider. It's something to get the ball rolling when it comes to discussing who are some of the best champions, some of the best tag teams. And when you throw out champions, whether it's past, present, or future, everyone has aspirations. They want to be at the top. They want to hold a piece of the gold. And one of those guys, or rather one of those teams, are the Street Profits. Haven't been the champions all year, but they have been consistently knocking at the doorstep of championship opportunities. Now, of course, these last few times have been thwarted due to the whole tumultuous relationship between Gargano, Ciampa, and the Motor City Machine Guns. But whether it was them in B-Fab, whether it was them alongside Bobby Lashley, who now resides in All Elite Wrestling, consistently having one of the best matches on the card whenever they were involved, I'd like to think that Montez Ford has certainly placed himself in another level when it comes to his athleticism, to the point where people are considering him as a solo star. And then you look at his partner, Dawkins, who again kicks it up another gear. This isn't the same Dawkins that we saw in NXT. He's gained a lot of confidence, not only on the mic, but with his moveset. And it translates onto TV. These guys are firing on all cylinders. A well-oiled machine, as a reference to the Motor City. Are they enough to be on this list, having no championships to their name, but plenty of notoriety attached to it? We talk about notoriety. What about the Final Testament, who has the biggest tag team probably in the WWE, that being the Authors of Pain, who have been the muscle for Karrion Kross, Paul Ellering, and Scarlett. The Authors of Pain, former NXT Tag Champions, have been running roughshod alongside the Final Testament, currently involved in a feud with the Wyatt Six, having earned a victory over the Wyatt Six a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. Is it enough to gain them some momentum in this division and maybe propel them for an eventual clash? A clash of the Titans against the War Raiders. That's something I would be interested in. How about we stick with Monday Night Raw and the LWO? Rey Mysterio and company, obviously, Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro, Dragon Lee, having multiple versions of a tag team between them. Obviously, Wilde and Cruz kind of usually tag together. Rey and Dragon Lee have been known to be a unit. Some of the high flyers on WWE TV. Again, another team that may not have had championship gold around their waist, but have been consistently on TV, have been consistently getting these opportunities to elevate themselves. And even at the expense of other guys. I mean, look at American Made. The Creed brothers, recently debuting on the main roster of the WWE after having a good run in NXT. They're now getting some momentum. Ever since turning heel and aligning themselves with Chad Gable, they've kind of turned a corner here. They were already great in the ring, but hopefully with this new attitude, it only helps with them in the future in terms of their championship aspirations. You look at their counterparts. How about Otis and Akira Tozawa, who were able to break away from Chad Gable? We talk about confidence. Otis finally developing the courage, really standing his ground, putting his foot down against Chad Gable, have been a highlight reel for fans. Whenever we see Otis and Tozawa, it always gets the crowd reacting. There's a positive reaction when it comes to those two. Are those two able to be placed on our list here for Tag Team of the Year, a lot of tag teams to consider. A lot of tag teams to put in consideration for Tag Team of the Year. We have a good pool here. We have a great pool of talent that could be in consideration. But like I said, only 4 spots are open. Only 4 spots are available for this award. I think we're going to see some examples from all 3 brands. Raw, SmackDown, NXT. The tag team division may not, this is my personal opinion, may not be the best it's been in some time, but it does have the potential. It does have the makings of a really deep pool of tag teams. You have a strong foundation already set. It's just a matter of building upon that foundation. Look at the mid-card. For the longest time, the Intercontinental Championship and the U.S. title weren't really legit championships. Upon Triple H assuming the head of creative, we started seeing a level of significance, importance placed upon the IC and the US title. And now we look at them as those stepping stones titles once again, allowing those guys the opportunity to have a run at these mid-card titles so they are prepared for a world title run. That's what the tag team title should be. It should be able to celebrate and highlight the tag team division. Legendary tag teams like Demolition, LOD, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, the Hardys, the Rockers, the Hart Foundation, all have been at the top at some point in the WWE or WWF, depending on what era of wrestling you know. Tag team division, tag team wrestling, I should say, is a very fundamental point of the experience that is pro wrestling. The highs, the lows, the hot tags, the blind tags, the betrayals, the team-ups, the triumphs, the tribulations. It is a fundamental piece of the storytelling that the WWE has been telling for the last few years. I think an argument could be made that the WWE has taken a back seat when it comes to the tag team division, and they've been focusing more so on faction, on gang warfare. We've seen teams like the Bloodline, the Judgment Day, the Wyatt Six, the Final Testament, American Made, the LWO, Legado del Fantasma. A lot of groupings there, reminiscent of the Attitude Era, when you had your D-Generation X. You had your Disciples of Apocalypse, Nation of Domination. A lot of groups. And I'm hoping that we're able to have dominant factions, but also have like a subdivision of those factions involving the tag teams. So my hope is that for next year when we run back the J Area Awards for 2025, hopefully I'll see you guys there, we'll have more depth when it comes to the tag team division. It shouldn't be as top heavy. Because I'm thinking, and again, we're listing off the tag teams here. There are very much top heavy teams in consideration. Once you get to tag teams, with all due respect to guys like Tozawa and Otis, not really much wins under their belt. Not a lot of championship opportunities associated with the team of the Alpha Academy. But that's why we have this discussion. That's why we leave it up to the people. Because like I said in the past, this is very much your channel, not just my channel. My name's just attached to it, but at the end of the day, you guys help run the show. It's an opportunity for you to voice your thoughts, share your favorites, and help us vote for some of the best of 2024. We recently did a live stream for Feud of the Year and Women's Wrestler of the Year. If you haven't checked those out, do yourself a favor and check those out and be a part of the conversation. See what other people are into. Maybe if you're not into something, you'll gain over time an interest in something else. Like I said, it's a channel for wrestling fans by a wrestling fan, leaving it up to the voice for the people, giving you an opportunity to go ahead and share your thoughts. We have a few more minutes here in regards to the discussion portion of the Tag Team of the Year, and then we'll open it up to the public. We'll have a poll out, and it'll be your chance to vote for who you thought was the WWE's Tag Team of the Year. We've seen some examples here in the chat. DIY, Bianca, and Jade Cargill as examples of 2 tag teams that were highlighted, I thought, pretty well. You see Jade Cargill, who had recently debuted at the Royal Rumble, jumping over from All Elite Wrestling to the WWE, making an instant impact, joining Bianca Belair, winning the tag team championships, and never looked back. They did lose the titles for a time being against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, but they regained those titles shortly after and never looked back. Now, unfortunately, Jade Cargill out with an injury. We're still struggling to figure out who was her attacker. Some people have a speculation Bianca Belair. The most popular name that I've seen thrown out there is Naomi. Maybe someone we haven't seen in quite some time, like a Charlotte. All possibilities at this point, but we don't know who it was. We don't have answers to that, but what we do have answers to is potentially who will be the tag team of the year, so long as you guys vote and make your voices heard. We're going to start getting the chat ready, or rather the poll ready, for who should be considered the tag team of the year. A lot of people to take into consideration, given that we've had 3 brands and 2 divisions, really, the men's and the women. Like I said, it's only a couple more moments here before we open up to the poll. We open to the public, giving them a chance to vote for who they think should be the tag team of the year. A lot of options when you look at teams across all brands. Like I said, it might not have been the best year for tag teams, but I do think on the horizon, 2025 should be quite the year. We used 2022 and 2023 and 2024 for the most part as an opportunity to elevate the mid-card division. I think that's the next thing we're going to be looking at is the tag team division come 2025. Obviously, if you're new to the chat, if you're new to the live stream, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. I'm a big fan of professional wrestling. We have live streams on occasion for those who want to discuss the current product, whether it's WWE, AEW, or whatever the case may be. Our conversations are predominantly WWE, but we are open to any and all topics in this world of pro wrestling. We have live streams on occasion, Monday and Fridays. We do live streams following Monday Night Raw. It's about 11 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 p.m. on the West Coast. And we will be having more live streams throughout the week, probably every other day. But we're still working on it. Keep an eye out on the community tab to stay up to date. We also have the Friday 5 counts that obviously come out on Fridays. Tomorrow we'll be dropping another Friday 5 count and a little sneak preview. It'll be about my personal favorites when it came to WWE's matches in 2024. I'll be sharing my top 5 favorite matches this year. Of course, we also have the J Area Wrestling Podcast that is uploaded every Monday, where we kind of go over the current state of wrestling, whether it's storylines, behind the scenes, just a quick update and a way to catch you guys up to the long week of wrestling, because I don't know if you know this, but Monday through Sunday, depending on whether or not there's a pay-per-view or a premium live event, there is a day of wrestling every day throughout the week. Monday through Sunday, Monday Night Raw, NXT is on Tuesday, Wednesday is Dynamite, Thursday is Impact, Friday night SmackDown along with Rampage. Saturday is Collision, and again, depending on whether or not there is a premium live event or a PLE, Sunday is another opportunity for professional wrestling. So a lot to talk about there. A lot to talk about. Again, we're going to keep it up for a couple more moments here. We're going to start opening it up to the polls and giving you guys an opportunity to vote for who you thought was the tag team of the year. Like I said, we do have live streams every Monday and Friday following Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Look forward to the next set of live streams where we will continue handing out these J Area awards. We still have awards that include Match of the Year, Male Superstar of the Year, return of the year. There's still a few more out there that we haven't given out. It'll be throughout the course of December as we approach 2025, and Monday Night Raw and their debut on Netflix surely should be a big one that might have a lot of nominees for next year's J Area Awards, whether it's Return of the Year, Match of the Year, Moment of the Year, Superstar of the Year. It's going to be a big night when it comes to January 6th, live on Netflix, Monday Night Raw, taking the next step in the evolution of the sports entertainment business and demonstrating why the WWE is at the very top of their game and at the top of the world of professional wrestling. We now have the polls up. They're now available, ready for you guys to go ahead and vote and determine who you think should be the tag team of the year. We do have a vote in already. Our 4 nominees, we do have Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, the women's tag team champions, for the majority of the year. Again, putting on good matches against the likes of PFC, teams like the Kabuki Warriors, Damage Control, and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Still the reigning tag team champions, if you ask me, but obviously because of Jade Cargill's injury, she will not be able to defend those titles. It appears Naomi will be taking her spot for the time being until she can return, of course. Our second nominee, of course, DIY, the tag team champions on SmackDown currently on their second title reign, defeating the Motor City Machine Guns and turning heel. You know, there was a time there where we thought we were going to see the breakup of DIY again, because NXT, we already told that story. But it was a great opportunity here to further the tag team of DIY and making them more interesting. Not to say that they weren't interesting, but whenever you have something like that, where it's 2 teams, or rather 2 individuals, who kind of need a fresh start, that's what you do. You turn them heel. I'm a fan of DIY. I'm a fan of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. So you know I'm very invested in what they're going to be doing with that storyline. Hopefully it leads to some great matches. We know we have other tag teams on that side of the WWE roster where they can deliver. We know that Monday Night Raw and its debut on Netflix might include a little bit of a shakeup. It appears there's a transfer portal, a trade portal, whatever they want to call it, open now across all brands. So we're going to see some differences here when it comes to the landscape of the WWE. And speaking of the WWE, and we talk about the transfer portal, NXT superstars will be making their way to the main roster. And speaking of NXT, Nathan Frazer and Axiom, who have been the reigning and defending tag team champions over on the silver and yellow brand NXT. They've been the champions for a big majority of the time there, having solid matchups against the likes of Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin, as well as Chase University, Gallus. We have the family, Tony D'Angelo, Stax, and Luca, doing a great time there. And a story that is being told between Frazer and Axiom is their miscommunication. Axiom and Nathan have been a tag team, dating back all the way to last year's NXT deadline where they had that matchup. And a level of respect was developed between the two. So they developed this tag team. And they win the tag titles. But there's that level of miscommunication where Frazer might be focused on other things. Axiom wants to be on the same page in terms of their preparation for their tag title matches, but it doesn't seem to go their way all the time. Now, the big thing is, though, they keep winning. But how long until their luck runs out? We saw most recently at NXT Deadline where it was Nathan, who was a part of the Iron Survivor matchup, in the opener also had to defend his titles alongside his partner, Axiom, and he looked like a mess. He was wrecked. I mean, like the state that he was in, you would have already thought that they had lost the tag titles, but miraculously, what a performance by Frazer to help get the win for Axiom and himself, to the point where, okay, they want to kind of say thank you to the other. And Nathan Frazer gets them a tag title matchup on last week's episode of NXT, and Axiom wants to have his shot up against Oba Femi to kind of pay him back for what happened with Frazer. And of course, the story that is being told is, can they continue to do so? Can they continue to win despite that level of miscommunication? And they keep doing it. Axiom, I think, is the best tag team when it comes to the NXT division, by far. Not only in ring work, but just the narrative that they're telling, the dynamic between the two, and just the offensive approach that Fraser and Axiom have. It's surely one of the reasons why I keep tuning into NXT. Above all else, they just have great talent all around. But certainly when it comes to the tag team division, Fraser and Axiom are must-see. We have the Street Profits, of course, at the number 4 spot here for the nominees for Tag Team of the Year. They are the only tag team included in this award that doesn't have a championship reign in 2024. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You could have included other champions like A-Town Down Under, the Judgment Day, the Bloodline, but I had to go with the Street Profits just because this is a perennial team, a team that is perennially involved in some of the top matches, the top stories. They have an edge to them now. Ever since the split from Bobby Lashley, they have this edge to them where they don't take any nonsense anymore. They want what's theirs. They've had opportunities at the tag team titles over on SmackDown, and again, been knocking on the door consistently for those tag titles, but continuously seem to get screwed out of those championships. Right or wrong, I think the Profits could have already been tag team champions if it wasn't for certain attacks, if it wasn't for certain triple threat matches. You can make the argument that they could already be tag team champions, but that's not the case. They haven't won the tag titles in quite some time, in a couple years now. But what they can win with the help of your vote could be the tag team of the year in the WWE, of course, of the year 2024. I think it's going to be a big year for the Profits in 2025. I expect them to win the tag titles at some point in 2025. I find it very hard to believe that we haven't seen them hold the titles in a couple years now. So we know that's going to be on the horizon for them, being that they're the only nominees here in this award to not hold championship gold in the year 2024. But of course, the polls are open to the public. You guys go ahead and vote. We have 12 votes in so far in regards to the tag team of the year. In first place with 58% of the vote, we have Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, DIY. And in second place, a tie between Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and the Street Profits. Again, tied for second place. And in last place, third place, with 8% of the votes, Fraser and Axiom, the NXT Tag Team Champions. Again, the reigning and defending Tag Team Champions. But that can all change with your guys' help, with your guys' votes below. Make sure your voices are heard. Make sure you include your voices. And even comment down below in the chat who should have been on this list, who you would have included on this list, or comment down below why you have voted for the team that you voted for. Of course, the chat isn't just relegated to just a tag team voting poll here. You can also include other comments, questions, concerns when it comes to WWE or pro wrestling. You can go ahead and comment down below. Make sure your voices are heard as a member of the J area, and you too can see and be a part of the conversation here. 13 votes are in, as we mentioned. 13 votes are in. Continue on. We still have well over 20 minutes left here for the voting poll to be available at the turn of the hour. We're going to go ahead and close the poll and name the tag team of the year. DIY taking a quick lead here over the other three, but again, like momentum, it can swing and it can go. So it doesn't matter if it's 20 minutes from now or 2 minutes from now. That can all change with your guys' votes. And if you've already voted and you're still here on the stream, which I hope you are, go ahead and comment down below some of your favorite tag teams of all time. You know, I think the tag team division, like I said, in recent memory has kind of taken a decline. But there have been so many great tag teams when it comes to the WWE's history. Again, there's so many out there outside of the WWE, but being that the J area predominantly talks about the WWE, we'll keep it in the conversation there. Unless if you want to talk about someone else, feel free to throw that out in the chat. I know for me personally, growing up a big WWE fan, the Hardy Boys were always on TV. You know, whether it was the ladder matches, whether it was their short run in the late 2000s, back when they returned and they had their matches up against like Eminem, they were always on TV. Big fans of Matt and Jeff Hardy. Very influential for my generation, and I think you can see that in today's pro wrestling as well. Of course, Matt and Jeff Hardy have won championships everywhere they go. World Tag Team Champions, WWE Tag Team Champions, WCW Tag Team Champions, Ring of Honor, and they're the current reigning and defending TNA World Tag Team Champions as well. So big shout out to Team Extreme, Matt and Jeff Hardy. Aside from them, I was always a big fan of the Dudleys, Bubba Ray and Devon. Just the look, the style, the tables, the attitude. The Dudley Boys, I think, are strongly in consideration for the best tag team of all time. Like the Hardys, have held titles everywhere they have gone. The only thing against them, or rather the only difference they have against the Hardys, is they've won championship gold from like the ECW. They're talking about WCW, Raw, SmackDown, TNA, Ring of Honor, IWGP as well. So a lot of championship opportunities there. What's going on, Hector? Welcome to the live stream. Appreciate you stopping by. He says, always enjoy your content while I'm at work. Well, I'm with you there. Because for me personally, whenever I'm at work, my mind be flowing. My mind be going up and down all around. And sometimes you just want to take a load off and listen to something else. So I appreciate that you take the time here and include yourself, invite yourself to the conversation. Appreciate you and the kind words when it comes to the live stream. I enjoy seeing as many of you guys a part of these live streams, as many of you taking part in the conversation, because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. Like I said, it has my name on it, but this channel is as much your guys' as mine. So I appreciate you, Hector. Appreciate you commenting down below in the chat. I'm curious to know who you voted for. You don't have to say. It's all confidential. But if you want to say, very curious to see who you thought was Tag Team of the Year or some of your favorite tag teams growing up as a pro wrestling fan. This is a channel not only by a wrestling fan, but for wrestling fans. All kinds. Old, young, relapse fan, returning fan, all genders, backgrounds, it doesn't matter. Especially if you are new to the game or if you've been here since day one. We appreciate you and you're all welcome. Tyler, what's going on? Welcome to the live stream. Appreciate you stopping by. We're talking Tag Team of the Year for tonight's live stream on who were the best tag teams in 2024. Hector asks, were Ray and Eddie ever tag team champions? They were. They held the tag team championships from February of 2005, and they dropped those titles in April of the same year. Only had it a couple of months. Ray and Eddie very vividly remember that tag team title reign. They won at No Way Out, defeated the Basham brothers in what was the opening matchup for the pay-per-view No Way Out. And a real pleasant memory for me growing up as a fan, because I was a huge Ray and Eddie guy. Not only because of like the Hispanic background, but just because of the characters, because of their movesets, just because of who they were. Ray and Eddie, top stars wherever they went. They were tag team champions, absolutely. Absolutely. They lost those titles to Joey Mercury and Johnny Nitro, who had made their debut in April of 2005. They dropped those titles, and it would begin the summer, for me, I think one of the best feuds in WWE history, depending who you ask. But for me, so many pleasant memories when it comes to Eddie and Ray. That kicked off their huge summer feud, where we saw matches at Judgment Day, Great American Bash, the infamous ladder match at SummerSlam with the custody of Dominic on the line, and it all culminated in a steel cage match on the first ever Friday Night SmackDown. Obviously, for those fans who are old enough, it was on Thursdays for the first several years of the SmackDown run, and eventually it moved over to Friday nights. So a big time for me growing up as a fan. Tyler says he's getting a PS5 tomorrow. Salute to everyone. Hey, congrats on the PS5. I mean, like, when it comes to these gaming consoles, man, like they're popping them out. Whether it's a PS5, whether it's the Xbox Series X1, I mean, Nintendo Switches. My brother is very much a big fan of gaming. He has the occasional stream himself. He does take part on Twitch every now and then. When he has a live stream, I try to promote it and give him that opportunity, give him the rub, if you will. So whenever he has his streams, I'll make sure to include it on the descriptions here. That way, if you guys want to check that out, I highly urge you guys to do so. And in fact, speaking of him as well, I want to incorporate him more so on the channel. He's already given me the green light and the thumbs up. So look out for my brother. Obviously, you guys know him as San Fran 5, but look out for him. He might be joining us in the J area at some point in the near future. But congratulations on getting that PS5. Hopefully, you already have some games lined up that we can put that thing to use. Hector asks, is it an early Christmas gift, Kyler? Or Tyler, excuse me. I mean, what a gift, right? If it's a gift for yourself or a gift for someone, a PS5 is a way to go, man. Quite the way to go. I personally played PlayStation for quite some time. We were very big into the PlayStation 2. But then, after the PS2 came out, and it had its run, we had switched over to Xbox. So since the Xbox 360, I've been riding with them. I don't have a preference one or the other. I've just gotten so used to the Xbox console. 17 votes are in, and DIY with 65% seemingly running away with the award here of Tag Team of the Year. I'm gonna be quite frank with you guys. My pick would have went to Axiom and Nathan, but they're at 6% here. But the people are speaking here. They're really on the side of Gargano and Ciampa, and rightfully so. I mean, two of the best products to come out, or excuse me, two of the best prospects to come out of the product of NXT, made a name for themselves, won the tag titles not once but twice, and recently turned heel, and it's clearly made an impact here in the J area for the award for the Tag Team of the Year. Street Profits again, 11%. Axiom and Fraser, 11%. 16% say Cargill and Bianca Belair, who I think also have an argument to be made when it comes to Tag Team of the Year. But DIY, running away with it. 19 votes are in, and we still have about a little over 10 minutes left. Like I said, we keep the first half of the stream strictly for discussion and including our thoughts and opinions on who should be included in the award as nominees. And then in the second half, we open it up to the public. So if you're new to the live stream, I keep seeing people coming in and out. If you're new to the live stream, my name's Jose Ramos Jr. We do the occasional live stream here when it comes to the WWE or pro wrestling. We talk all things, whether it's WWE, AEW, TNA. Regardless, it's up to you, the people. It's up to you, the people, to vote for who you'd like to win. We recently had a live stream for Feud of the Year, for Female Wrestler of the Year, and now tonight we have the Tag Team of the Year with representation from all three brands, SmackDown, Raw, and NXT. Tyler says, and I'm getting an iPhone after Christmas. Well, you just live in life, aren't you? Big moves for Tyler here. What a way to end the year 2024, and hopefully 2025 treats you even better. Congratulations on that. Shout out to Muhammad for joining us here in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by. We're talking tag teams, Tag Team of the Year. He says it's nearly nighttime and beyond, almost Friday. They hope all is well for both, physically and emotionally, and same with those who are already here in the chat. Big shout out to Muhammad for stopping by in the chat. Like I said, we're talking Tag Teams of the Year. In a current state of the WWE, where I think the tag team division has kind of taken a back seat, we have a lot of potential here leading of the year 2025. We have obviously our four nominees here, four potential winners for the award, who all had solid 2024s, some more than others, but all have a big aspiration to have bigger 2025s. Now I look at it and I wonder how many of these tag teams are actually going to be a unit in 2025. The WWE has a penchant for breaking up tag teams, having one betray the other. I look at them and I'm like, well, Jade and Bianca, I don't know if they're going to make it to 2026. DIY, I mean, they already have a tumultuous relationship between the two there. Axiom and Fraser, again, another team where it's like, I don't know if they're made for the long haul, and the Street Profits have been a tag team for quite some time. But a guy like Montez Ford, a lot of people have said it is his time. He could be the next breakout star. I don't want to think about guys like, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, but there's always that one guy who kind of steps away, breaks away from their team, and elevates themselves to the next level. And some people are already crowning Montez Ford as the Shawn Michaels in this partnership with Dawkins. But I'm a fan of the Profits. I don't want to see a lot of these teams break up, but I do want to see Ford succeed. He has the charisma, he has the athleticism, he has the backing of the people, which is very important. You want to have the people on your side in order to get over. So I look at these nominees and I ponder to myself, who, if any of them, stick together throughout the course of 2025. Mohammed's latest comment in the chat. It's wonderful to be under Jose Ramos Jr. It's so wonderful to have you here. Yes, it's in which I'm delighted on. Hey, we appreciate you having here. We appreciate you guys taking the time out of your days or nights, depending where you are in this world. We appreciate you guys taking the time to join the live stream, voice your thoughts, voice your opinions, include yourself in the discourse that is professional wrestling. It's an ever-evolving world when it comes to wrestling. It's an ever-evolving world just in general. So I think it's important to cherish and appreciate these moments that we have. Because although we're not in the same room together, whenever we have these live streams and have these conversations, I feel a whole lot closer to you guys. I appreciate, again, you guys taking the time to be a part of it, and I appreciate you guys always being here on a consistent basis. There's a solid question here by Muhammad. They ask, what is the similarities and differences between the Street Profits and the Private Party? I think there was a lot of similarities in the early stages of both the Private Party and the Street Profits careers. They were very predominantly focused on the party aspect. Private Party, obviously it's in their name. They still have the gimmick of coming out with the velvet rope. The Street Profits very much insinuating party with the red solo cups or blue solo cups, depending on what brand they appear on. So there is very much the common theme of a party between them. I also think in their move sets, they have these opportunities to display these high-flying acrobatic moves. And let's face it, right? When we come to Private Party and the Street Profits, they reach points in their careers where I don't think they would have been successful solo. They feed off of each other. And they're able to focus themselves in the match, but also endear themselves to the audience. When you talk about parties, whether it's the Private Party, Street Profits, you want to include people. You want to be able to open it up to others and invite them. That's why I think those two teams have become so successful, is because of their ability to get over with the crowd. Now, in terms of differences, I feel like the Street Profits have a meaner streak than the Private Party. I will say in recent times, with the whole Death Riders angle that the AEW audience is seeing, Private Party's kind of having more of a mean streak. But I think the Street Profits they take it more seriously. And I don't mean that to be like demeaning or anything, that the Private Party doesn't take it seriously, but they seem to be having a good time. Always. I mean, when they come out, they're dancing, coming out to their theme song shots. Street Profits know when to turn it on and know when to flip the switch. That's a matchup I would love to see. We had recently done a video on the channel in regards to booking a possible super event between WWE and AEW, and Private Party and the Street Profits is a matchup that I would love to see. I wanted to book it on that matchup. I hope you guys have seen the video where I book a super card between the WWE and AEW. If you haven't, please go ahead out of your way and watch that video. It was a lot of fun to produce, a lot of fun to film and just plan out. So I'll go ahead and include that in the description as well. I would love you guys to watch that and comment on the video some of your favorite matches on that card, as well as other dream matches that you would love to see in AEW versus WWE, or just dream matches in general. Because I really love having those kind of fantasy booking video ideas. Life is all things, such as precious and gifted and enjoyable, and can be short, which is unfairly at times. Meanwhile, tomorrow is not promised and guaranteed. Muhammad brings out a solid point here when it comes to life in general. Life of all things, yeah. It can be short. It should be precious. It should be It should be cherished, certainly. I know there's a lot of aspects in my life that I find a lot of gratitude and appreciation for, and I feel that it's those things, whether big or small, that help motivate me to continue doing what I'm doing, whether it's relationships with friends and family, whether it's work related, whether it's this, those kind of things really put life into perspective. So Muhammad brings out a great point here in the chat as well. Awesome interaction, guys. Awesome stuff here in the live stream. Again, we're talking tag team of the year. We have about 22 votes, 23 votes in now for who you think will be tag team of the year. Like I said, DIY running away with it, still at number 1. It's tied for second place between Bianca Belair and Cargill, both at 17% alongside with Fraser and Axiom. Street Profits now at 9%. They were about second place for a time there, and now they fall into 4th place. We have a few more minutes left here for the poll to be open. We're still seeing people coming in and out of the live stream. I want to thank you guys for stopping by and taking time to join the discussion, join the live stream. And if you're new, appreciate you nonetheless. We talk pro wrestling here. We have the occasional live stream on Mondays and Fridays following Raw and SmackDown, 11 o'clock on the West Coast. Depending on where you at, it's probably different. Probably different. We also have the J Area wrestling podcast that comes out every Monday. Just a quick refresher on what is going on in the world of pro wrestling, because it's an ever-evolving world. We talk about how there's wrestling now on every day of the week. So a lot to talk about. This is your safe haven for professional wrestling. If you're trying to keep up to date with what's going on, if you want to include yourself in the conversation and present ideas that maybe we're not talking about, you're more than welcome to do so. It's all inclusive. All inclusive. That's why it's called the J Area. It's all ours. It's all ours. Like I said, a few more minutes left here in the chat. Make sure you guys get your votes in while you can, and maybe make a difference here for some of your favorite tag teams. I'm looking at the Street Profits. It's really looking tough for them. I don't know if they're going to be able to come back from this. I think we're probably going to see them in 4th place, maybe 3rd place if someone else wants to vote for them. But it's looking like DIY will be the tag team of the year. According to you, the people, members and citizens of the J Area, it seems that DIY will be the tag team of the year. But go ahead and keep dropping comments, questions in the chat. We want to make sure that everyone has their voices heard. Great interactions here. Solid stuff here by Muhammad, Tyler, who's again a consistent member of these live streams. Hector stopping by as well. We appreciate you. Mama Ramos stopped by, included her pick for who she thought would be tag team of the year. It's all a matter of who will be, or rather when will be the next live stream. So tomorrow, let's do a little bit of housekeeping here as I leave the poll up. Tomorrow, of course, following Friday night SmackDown, we will have our live stream. Again, that's 11 p.m. on the West Coast following Friday Night SmackDown, just discussing what we see happening on SmackDown, as well as overall the product of WWE or pro wrestling. Again, you guys direct the conversation. I'm just here to moderate, right? You guys are the cars driving on the street. I'm just the traffic cone leading you to the right stop. Of course, also on Friday, tomorrow, we will have another edition of the Friday 5 Count where I share my 5 favorite wrestling matches in the WWE in the year 2024. So keep an eye out for that as well. Obviously, we have live streams coming out about every other day. So, for example, tomorrow we have Friday Night SmackDown. We have that live stream. There will not be one for Saturday. I'm going to give you the heads up there. We're going to be taking the day off on Saturday night. Won't have a live stream there. But that's not to say Sunday. We had a live stream last Sunday, a successful live stream at that. So keep an eye out for that, where we'll hand out another award. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. It could be Male Superstar of the Year. It could be Match of the Year, Return of the Year, Breakout Start of the Year. Still a lot of other awards to hand out throughout the duration of this month for the J Area Awards. That'll be Sunday. Monday night, of course, is Monday Night Raw. We'll have a live stream following that show. and so on and so forth. But I do enjoy doing these live streams, having you guys a part of the discussion, having you guys a part of just the conversation. I'm very much a big fan of conversation, getting to know people, getting to know what makes them tick, what are their interests, what are their disinterests. And this is our chance to develop, to build a community here on YouTube. And I love it. I love that we are afforded this opportunity with the J Area to develop a community of pro wrestling fans. Like I said, it's a YouTube channel by pro wrestling fans for pro wrestling fans. It's very much yours as it is mine. We're in it together, right? We're going to go ahead and we're going to close the polls here with 23 votes. Shout out to Jordan. We're going to end the poll here. Half hour has passed by. The results are in. 23 votes were casted at fourth place, or rather in third place. Street Profits with 8% of the votes. Second place was a tie at 17%. It was Nathan Fraser and Axiom, tied with Cargill and Belair, and with 56% of the votes. Over half of you picked DIY to be the WWE's Tag Team of the Year 2024. Big congratulations to DIY. If you haven't already seen the other live streams where we had Feud of the Year and Female Wrestler of the Year, be sure to check those out. Those were a lot of fun to make. Great conversations were had. Solid names were included during those awards, during those polls. So always make sure to keep your notifications on for when we go live here on YouTube. I try to put up a notification, whether it is a video notification or something on the community tab. I try to keep you guys in the know, give you opportunities to recognize and realize when we will go live. Your best bet, of course, is to turn on the notification bell in order to stay in the know, in order to stay updated for your take, for your hit of professional wrestling. Again, a big congratulations to DIY, who are named the Tag Team of the Year for the WWE in 2024. I want to give a big thanks to members of the J Area in the chat here: Tyler, Hector, Muhammad, Mama Ramos, and Alex, who all stepped in and voiced their opinions and decided to include who they thought should be nominated, as well as other great takes in pro wrestling, great questions as well. So with that being said, we're gonna close the live stream here. I want to thank you guys for stopping by on this Thursday night edition of the live stream where we crowned and awarded our Tag Team of the Year, DIY. Of course, my name's Jose Ramos Jr. Thank you guys again for stopping by and talking pro wrestling with me. And of course, like I said, my name's Jose. And until next time, stay cool.